Yeah, so happy to be here. What a beautiful day. I'm out on the West Coast, so I don't know where you are right now, but it's a beautiful day everywhere, no matter what. Really happy to be here with NASNPRO. Always the best shows ever, and this is actually the first time I've done it by video. So kind of cool. I'm liking it. So Jimm Harrison here, and I'm going to talk to you about emotional skincare. Which that's kind of a funny title, isn't it? Emotional skincare. I mean, you look at your skincare, it's, happy, is it smiling, is it sad, but that's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the impact that skincare has on your emotions. All right. So that's what we're going to be talking about for when it comes to emotions and skincare. First, what I would like to do before I get into the impact on emotions that skincare has, I want to talk to you just make sure we're understanding what emotions are. And as I was starting to put this presentation together, I realized that, well, I was reading a book, actually, what I quote, The Emotional DNA by Pierre Capel, and it has some great quotes that help me to let you know what we're talking about when we're talking about emotions and the impact emotions have. So our thinking is strongly influenced by our feelings. This really important to understand. A lot of us think that we're so in thinking and that our thinking is coming from logic, but so much of our thinking and so much of our behavior and so much of our actions are coming from emotions. This is a biologically driven evolutionary aspect of who we are as human beings. We are driven by emotion because it's part of our security. It's how emotions help to keep us safe. So that's what emotions are really all about. It drives who we are. I'm going to talk about that in a second too. So these quotes are really good to understand how this works. Everything that's seen, heard, smelled, or felt is going through the limbic system. I work with essential oils, so my main focus is on the olfactory system, and the limbic system relationship with the olfactory system is so important. And it really, the limbic system in all of our senses, as it's saying here, drives our emotions. All of our senses go through our limbic system, which is the emotional and memory center. And this creates who we are. It labels, what the quote here is labeled, pleasant, anxious, all of the possible value judgments, all reactions are unconscious and cannot be controlled. So it's really important to understand that emotions are driving us and they're very unconscious. So when you're aware of this, they actually in a way become conscious because you can catch how it is linked to your emotions. All our observations first enter into the limbic system, obtain a value judgment, and then dispatch the direct and unconscious reactions. Our primary response is from our feelings. This is really important not only in the relationship to what we're talking about here with skincare, but in your everyday life to understand how emotions are driving us. So let's kind of do an overview of this and just break down what I'm going to be talking about here when I talk about emotions and skincare. So emotions are in all systems alert. That came from a quote from a YouTube video. Can't remember the woman that had that, but I liked it. It's all systems alert, emotions are. It directs our behavior and it changes what we remember. Now, to understand what do you mean changes what we remember? If we think about, you go to a concert, right? And concert. One of them, just the emotions and the impact that the music and the performance had on them was so beautiful. This is how they talk about the concert, was from emotional experience, where another person goes to that same concert, steps on a piece of glass, cuts their foot, and it just impacts the whole experience. Even though they kind of, once they into the show, the emotions were there and they felt that same emotion that the other person felt. But when they talk about that show afterwards, they're talking about, I cut my foot on a piece of glass, and this is what they're remembering. In everyday life, this is how emotions work. So emotions also influence decisions we make. As professionals in a retail and therapeutic market, in a service industry, we are always, or we should always be aware of how emotions influence decisions, because this is what drives your clients, right? Is the emotions. And so how we present our work, how we present our therapy, how we present anything, we want to think about how the emotional impact of what we're saying is going to influence the decisions that our clients make. And then emotions also determines how we perceive things. It's similar to changes what we remember, but how we see things, how we look at things. And this is why when we have discussions with people, we have to understand what their emotional attachment is to whatever we're talking about, because what their emotional attachment is how they're going to perceive what they're talking about. So when we think we're trying to be intellectually and from facts and all this other information, mostly what we're talking about is from our emotions. So that's the overview of what emotions are. So that's very important understanding what the rest of this presentation is going to be about, because now we're going to be talking about the emotions of skincare. And again, I'm not talking about your little jar of cream smiling and being happy. I'm talking about the impact it has on you and your clients and everybody else. Emotions of skincare. And as an industry, emotions are a driver of this multi-billion-dollar personal care industry. You know, if it wasn't for emotions, do you really think people would care about how their skin looks? Likely not. You know, it would just be, it's biology, it's what happens to us, this is what we look like, no matter what we do, no matter what we eat, no matter what we smell, no matter what we do. This is my skin, I'm happy, you know, I almost said I'm happy with, that's an emotion. But emotions drive this industry. We have to be aware of that. Emotions drive this industry. Also, another emotion comes from skincare is how it builds confidence and self-esteem. I'm going to be talking about intention. I'm going to be talking about the reasons that we use skincare. And so much of it has to do with how we feel, the emotion. And part of that emotion, it gives us confidence, it gives us self-esteem. Skincare also, the buying is influenced by branding, marketing, and perceived ideas. This is probably one of the most impactful ways that skincare affects people emotionally, because of how it's branded, how it's marketed. And that perceived ideas is really about intention. If you watch any commercial on the skincare, you know, any kind of skincare that's sold out there, especially really, really well marketed and branded skincare coming from these big companies like L'Oreal and Estee Lauder, and pay attention to the presentation that they do in these commercials, the branding of the product and the way they're marketing it and the way they're creating ideas around that skincare in a commercial, mostly that visual impact that it has. Even if they're talking science and they talk about the molecules and it goes through the skin and it does this and it does that, it does all these wonderful things, as you visually look at this and hear the technical terms that they're talking about, they're really presenting an emotional idea. It's the emotional impact. It's what that's going to do for your skin, but not even so much what it does for your skin, what it does to how you feel because of what that does to your skin. Pay attention to branding, pay attention to these perceived ideas or intentions. Intention is also a very important thing for you as a therapist, because you could do a presentation, probably shouldn't call it a presentation, but if you want to sell a service, or you want one of your clients to, you know, take on a service because you think it'll benefit their skin in the best way, depends on how you talk to them and how you're going to get them to buy. Now, if you talk very technical and talk about all the science and the technology and the molecules and the you know, the machines that you're using and how the science proves that this is going to work and do these things for their skin, that's, you know, it's kind of what you want to do, maybe. But if you don't add emotional impact, it's not going to have the same feel. If you leave out a lot of the technology and you talk only from the emotions, that this will make your skin look extremely healthy, youthful, and it'll give you self-esteem and confidence, whether you use those words or not. If that's the emotion you're trying to sell to this client, they're more likely to buy the emotional speech rather than the technology speech. That's emotions and getting people to feel what the results are going to be, rather than this technological approach that will give them, you know, sort of a cold feeling about what the service would be. Emotions, they create a bond to a product. We all have that. We all have a certain bond to a certain product. You know, whatever you're selling in your services, you probably have a bond to that brand. There's, you know, so when you talk about it with having that emotional bond, You present more emotion when you're talking to your clients about those products because you are emotionally connected. You're expressing that emotional connection, which will help your client to feel that emotional connection. So there's a bond that is created emotionally that we have with our skincare products. The emotional component of skincare: packaging, scent, visual appearance, meaning the look and the texture of it, and that tactile signals, meaning that when you pick it up and you put it on and rub it in or whatever the thing is, and how that feels on your skin. These all create an emotional feel to the skin. The packaging is probably the first thing that sells. You know, if, as a consumer, you walk into, you know, a Sephora or whatever, or any retail setting, and the first thing you're doing is you're kind of judging through packaging. What appeals to you? Is it the color? Is it the font? Is it the whole shape of the package? You know, these are the things that grab us first, and it's an emotional connection. We are visually impacted. Like I said, even visual goes to the limbic system first, affects us emotionally, and that's kind of driving us to choose which one of those products we're going to go to. And then what's the next thing you always do? This is my business: scent. You open up the jar and you smell it. And this is probably one of the most powerful ones. If you don't like the way it smells, you're just not going to use it. And this is the way everybody is. Scent is so powerful and also so very subjective. It's really hard to make a consumer scent that gets to a mass audience because it's so subjective, and it's because it impacts us emotionally, and it's a long story. Come to one of my olfactory essential oil classes and you'll get the whole story on it. Visual appearance, you know, that's kind of not quite has the impact of scent, even packaging. And then the tactile, how that feels, that's very important. If you don't like the way that feels on your skin, too oily, too dry, too sticky, whatever it is, you're just not going to get that satisfying emotional feel from it. So that's kind of the main function in emotional impact that we are familiar with. And you're going to see a lot of the trade magazines right now, how they're talking about emotional skincare. Emotions and skincare. Every time I say emotional skincare, I can think, ooh, it's so happy, it's smiling. But it's not about skincare, it's about us, again. So biophilia and forest bathing. Now, how and why am I making a jump suddenly from emotional impact of skincare, packaging, scent, and tactile feel? Why am I going there to forest bathing? Because this, I think, has the most profound emotional impact that you could possibly add to skincare or have in skincare. So biophilia is a term that comes out of biology. It's about our inborn genetic desire to seek connection to nature. This is a very strong genetic impact that we have, in that we have a desire to be in nature. We have a desire to connect with nature. And especially if you're in an urban setting, and even anywhere, once you're inside these concrete buildings, and the settings can be rather cold and distant from nature. That's why it's important to have plants and scents and pictures of nature. If you have, the more industrial setting you have, the more nature you need to kind of add to it because of that genetic desire, that connection. It's an emotional. So this is it. Humans have a profound natural response to the natural world. What I'm talking about, that response, is an emotional response. Nature makes us feel good. And this is what forest bathing is all about. Forest bathing actually is a practice that started in Japan, where, if you've ever been to Japan or Tokyo, it's a huge city. People are just, it's a lot of pressure put on the people of Japan for their work habits and kind of everything else. And so there's a lot of stress involved. Then you have this very, very concrete urban setting with that stress that goes with work. And so there's a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, and a lot of suicide happening. And this is happening, in any kind of urban setting, not just in Tokyo. So what this one therapist did, he started taking people into the forest. And he found that, this last bullet point I have here: restorative health and emotional impact of using nature as a stress reliever and a builder of emotional and physical health. Bringing people into the forest reduced stress, reduced depression. It increased self-esteem and stability and strength. And so being in nature is a powerful, powerful, positive emotional setting. So where are we going with this? You probably already know. We're going to go to natural. Okay. So natural skincare, which is, you know, the growth of the natural skincare industry is just phenomenal, incredible. And I was actually one of the players of that. I see 80 started teaching about what best skincare would be. And it came from what I talked about, you know, for diet and nutrition, which is how I started working in beauty, was talking about, you know, it's that beauty and what you put in your body is going to count. Well, what you put in your body is what you should also put outside your body. That means whole organic foods, but you can't do whole organic food in skincare. I would tell people, like I live in Seattle. Seattle has some of the best face food, salmon and berries. So you put some salmon and berries into a blender and blend that up and put that on your skin. Now, that sounds disgusting, right? So what you want to do is you want to get extracts from those really, really good foods that you eat for your skin. You want to get the extracts that will work on your skin. So this is, in a way, the idea of natural skincare. So we're going to choose natural that provides an emotional connection to wellness. When I started doing this in the 80s, and then when I finally worked with a company releasing a skin, actually I was one of the co-founders, and we put out a skincare that was totally natural. The only thing that was synthetic in it was emulsifiers, and most people call the emulsifiers natural. But since they don't occur in nature, I don't call them natural. So here's the idea on natural skincare to deal with. I had skincare, and I'm going to show you some pictures of what natural skincare looks like. It has color to it. Because when you use berry extracts, when you use olive oil extracts, when you use shea butter extracts, these all have some color to it. If you take that color out, it's like taking the color out of a carrot. You know, if you're eating a carrot, you want that color in there because that's one of the primary nutrients, right? So you don't want to take that stuff out. So color is part of natural skincare. When I started doing this and I had color in my skincare, people were looking at it and kind of going, what? And then they were smelling all of these natural ingredients, because I don't take the odor out. You know, essential oils is a good example. Take the odor out of an essential oil, you have air, right? So odor, color are important factors. But when I was doing this, people weren't exposed to this like they are now. People understand that natural has color, natural has some odors. And so when people, you know, I was showing people my skincare, and they you know, they wanted natural, but what I started saying is that they want natural, but what they want are synthetic naturals. They want it to be white like they're synthetic and smell like they're synthetic. But now we're past that, which is a really good thing. But that's what the idea, the impact is just the idea of natural has an emotional impact. And this is what people were looking for before we had more skincare and they become accustomed to it. So there's an emotional connection just to wanting the natural. So the intention is reinforced when the ingredients obviously have the natural scent, texture, and color. Right? So now that people have been exposed to that, they're looking that skincare is going to look natural. Now white means natural. It's too white. So the other idea is natural is better and safer, which supports uplifting and a nature-connected feeling. Now, is natural better and safer? I'm going to say yes, right? But you know, everyone has their opinion about that. But the idea, the intention of natural for people look has the idea, the concept, the emotional impact that this is better and safer, which is going to provide a healing, actually, because positive emotions have a healing aspect to it. So just the idea of natural is going to heal the skin. So now let's look at how biophilia works in natural scent and texture. So the connection between natural and fragrance and appearance. So the berry seed oils, right? Berry seed oils, if you've ever seen raspberry or blackberry, blueberry, there's all these really good seed oils out there now. If you ever look at just the oil, and you'll see this also in rose seed oil, which is more common, some of them have a little darker brownish or purplish tone to them. Some of them have, like rosehip seed is a little more orangey brown, but there is a deep color there, and those deep colors, the way, are nutrients. It's the carotenoids like beta carotene, but there's other carotenoids that are in there. Also, what would be called, also, if you know anything about the chemistry behind what's really good for your skin, polyphenols and flavonoids and carotenoids, real good for the skin. They have color. If those are in your skincare should have color. And I'm not talking about synthetic or even natural colors added, which some companies will do. All right, so olive oil. Smell olive oil out of bottle? Yummy, smells like olive oil. Smell olive oil in your skincare, if you're not used to your skincare having a natural scent, can be kind of weird. But if you're looking for that natural connection, the olive oil should add a hint of aroma. Cocoa butter, yummy. Nothing like a little chocolate in your skincare, but it has a nice chocolatey aroma to it. The shea butter, if you get unrefined shea butter is a little challenging because it smells a little bit like dirty socks. Dirty socks is not going to have a good emotional impact. So using a semi-refined shea butter is going to be probably a good idea. But you'll still have a bit of a nutty scent going on in there. So it'll be good. Essential oils. Essential oils for scent? Yes, because essential oils are used as a fragrance additive to, well, it's perfume. It's scenting for natural skincare. Essential oils have that sort of has a down kind of reputation these days. And so when you're using essential oils, they have to be used at a very small amount because these guys come from nature and they're very, very concentrated. And so there's been some issues about whether essential oils cause reactions or not. And used improperly, high amount, over an everyday way you use your skincare, they can cause sensitivity. But essential oils are ideal. You should have essential oils in there. They just have to be used at a small percentage, just enough to give a little bit of odor, but that little bit is going to have a strong impact on the therapeutic value as well. So here we go with essential oils because this is my deal. Okay, so now the natural ingredients. We want to have the natural ingredients. They're going to have some color. They're going to have some. They're going to add texture to the cream, and that tactile feel. They're going to give us a certain feel to how the cream or the lotion or the serum or whatever you're using feels. And the essential oils have, I think I've been talking about this ever since I got into aromatherapy and working in skincare with essential oils. Oils are the ideal best ingredient when it comes to emotion, because not only do you have the scent, okay, so now this is not a very common scent for skincare, but if we go to forest bathing, and if you really love to be in the woods and you had some pine and spruce and a little bit of earth going on, like vetiver, which is root oil in your skincare, the woods would love to have that on your skin, but it's not really a skincare aroma. There are certain aromas that just don't fit the skincare feel, okay? So even though that will be good as from a forest bathing biophilia perspective, it's not going to be good for a skincare perspective. But there are plenty of flowers and lavender grows in a field. So these lots of really good skincare that have good skincare aroma that work for that forest bathing and biophilia impact. But here's the other thing about essential oils is that also have this, well, phytosides. I have that here. Provide a from nature fragrance. So kind of what I was just talking about. The thing I always talk in my classes as I talk about the relationship that essential oils from us as an evolutionary perspective. We evolve with essential oils in the atmosphere. In biophilia, in forest bathing, they call the essential oils phytosides, which is kind of a scary name. Essential oil sounds much more attractive. But what they're talking about is that the oils are released from all the plants and trees and everything else that are in the woods. And anytime you smell a plant, you're smelling the essence or the essential oil, the phytoside that's released. And so essential oils have been in the environment through our whole evolutionary process, and it would make sense that we have a connection to these essential oils from that biophilia or that biological evolutionary perspective. We also connect with essential oils on the skin, by the way. There's the endocannabinoid system, which is on the surface of the skin. We also have olfactory nerve endings on the skin, which is pretty fascinating. So we connect even on the surface with these aromas, but through the olfactory response directly right to the limbic system, it has so much power. And this is where essential oils really have their ideal use in skincare, because you can't get any closer to the nose than putting something on your face. So essential oils also release emotion-regulating neurotransmitters and hormones, and they can be formulated for specific emotional response, which is the work that I do. I create skincare that has a specific emotional driver, whether it's happy or for depression. I even make antiviral skincare, but that's not emotions, except if you knew that your skincare was antiviral, you'd probably go, oh, be safe and secure. So that's an emotional impact right there, isn't it? So let's just look at a few essential oils that are really good. Virginia cedarwood. Virginia cedarwood has a compound called cedrol, which regulates the autonomic nervous system, ANS, autonomic nervous system, and that reduces the fight or flight response. Fight or flight response, which creates cortisol and all these inflammatory issues in your body, is really bad for your skin. So having cedrol in your skincare, which is Virginia cedarwood also has some good therapeutic properties for the skin physically, but the cedrol is going to help regulate the autonomic nervous system. Vetiver has been shown to reduce stress and lower cortisol levels, which are inflammatory compounds, bad for your skin. The anxiolytic anxiety is not really good for your skin either, so having geranium to help reduce anxiety in your skincare, also really good therapeutic properties for the physical properties of your skin. And then ylang ylang, feel-good response in part due to GABAergic effects, okay? So this is real physiological effects that are happening on an emotional level, along with the biophilia forest bathing effect of the aromas that are. So just to kind of wrap it up here, I want to show you what the skincare should look like, okay? So this is jojoba olive oil, sunflower seed oil, rosehip seed, blackberry seed, avocado. I mean, I could go for a long list of these foods that are really good for your body, really good for your health, but when they're extracted in the proper way, leaving in those powerful nutrients, really good for your skin. So the odors that are come out of there, it's going to be, if you're a good formulator with these things, it smells good. So I once did a formula. Someone asked me, it was a medical place that asked me if I could do unscented skincare, because they said, I said, I don't put any scent in there. They said, well, you have essential oils. I go, well, I don't do that for fragrance. I do that for therapy. They said, well, can you do it without essential oils? I said, sure. So I brought them no essential oil cream. They smelled it. They said, I thought you were going to do it without essential oils. I said, there are no essential oils. The natural fragrance left in to all of these therapeutic ingredients that I use, natural ingredients. So these things have an odor, but it can be a pleasant odor if it's formulated properly. And then you have extracts of calendula flower, pomegranate, sea buckthorn. There's a long list there. Generally, it's a supercritical extract that I like to use. The cream in the background there with the yellow, that's mostly coming from calendula. And calendula is a really good anti-inflammatory and wound healing ingredient. The pomegranate gives kind of a pinkish or mauve tone to the skincare. Astaxanthin is a phenomenal ingredient that should be in every skincare, except that it makes everything orange, which is what that color is. Astaxanthin comes from red algae. The krill eat the red algae, salmon eat the krill, and what you have is salmon with that red astaxanthin color. That's the color that gives salmon the red color. So incredible for the skin, good for sun protection. And then, here's a list of essential oils. So to really wrap this up, what we're looking at is natural has a profound impact, along with just the packaging, scent, and everything else that we associate with emotional impact of skincare. We have the biophilia, we have the forest bathing, the scent and the color and the texture has to be in there in order for that impact to be there. If it's formulated properly, it's beautiful, it's incredible. And I mean, I've been doing this for 30 years, and the results you get from natural are amazing. But the emotional aspect, which I've also been talking about for 30 years and just now becoming popular, it's the way that works. So rock your natural skincare, guys. It's a beautiful thing. Emotionally, it's good for you. So